Today on the Rockbridge Report, we'll provide you with the latest on the NASA rocket explosion at Virginia's Wallops Island.
Also, this CEO publicly announced he is proud to be gay, why Tim Cook decided to come forward with his sexuality.
Plus, we'll show you a taste of what people can expect for Halloween festivities in Rockbridge County.
And the county voted on whether or not to buy a drone last week. We'll have their decision and more on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news for Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Maggie Voltsky.
And I'm Stephen Young.
Investigators still do not know exactly what caused the unmanned Antares rocket to explode Tuesday. The rocket was heading for the International Space Station and destructed upon launch from the Wallops Flight Facility in Wallops Island, Virginia. CNN's Athena Jones has more on this story.
Picking up the pieces in Wallops Island, Virginia, after a massive explosion Tuesday night destroyed a rocket heading to the International Space Station.
3, 2, 1.
It was 6:22 p.m., launch time for Orbital Science's Antares rocket. But just seconds after liftoff, a catastrophic failure that stunned eyewitnesses.
We saw the rocket starting up and everything was looking good for the first couple seconds, and then it was fairly quickly you could see something was wrong.
The $200 million rocket and the Cygnus cargo spacecraft was carrying 5,000 pounds of food, supplies, and science experiments. Teams from Orbital, NASA, and Mars, the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, and others spent Wednesday searching for and collecting debris, the first step in figuring out what went wrong.
It really helps them kind of reconstruct what happened.
Orbital will lead the accident investigation, working with NASA and others. That review is only just beginning, company officials said on a conference call with investors.
Well, we still have a lot of work to do in the days ahead to analyze all of the telemetry and video data, to review the recollections and notes of the participants in the operation.
Thompson said the engines used in the rocket's propulsion system have caused technical problems in the past, and that while it's too soon to blame them for the explosion, the company was already planning to replace that system.
You kind of go into a different mode, and that's the mode of, all right, let's figure out what happened.
And liftoff. Meanwhile, another company, United Launch Alliance, successfully launched a GPS satellite from Cape Canaveral Wednesday. Proof that things go right more often than they go wrong.
The 5,000 pounds of equipment NASA lost from the rocket included 18 student science projects, food, mini research satellites, and a meteor tracker.
4 Lexington City Council candidates are looking at a tight race for 3 open seats as Tuesday's election approaches. Incumbents Mary Harvey Halseth and Chuck Smith hope to be re-elected in the face of challenges from new candidates David Sigler and Patrick Ramey. Councilmember George Pride is not seeking re-election.
Sigler is a Washington and Lee University graduate who now works in the athletic department at VMI. Ramey is a political science professor at VMI. Lexington voters will cast their ballots at one precinct, the Piovano building on Spotswood Drive.
Election Day 2014 will feature 2 statewide races for voters to weigh in, along with 1 Virginia state constitutional amendment up for a vote. The United States Senate race features Democratic incumbent Mark Warner facing stiff competition from Republican challenger Ed Gillespie and Libertarian candidate Robert Sarvis. Warner has held his position since 2008.
Also, United States 6th District House Representative Bob Goodlatte is running for re-election. He will face off against 2 independent candidates, Libertarian Party candidate Will Hammer and Green Party candidate Elaine Hildebrandt. The amendment voters will see on the ballot asks voters to decide whether spouses of soldiers killed in action will be allowed a tax exemption on their property so long as they do not remarry. Virginia legislator and Governor Terry McAuliffe both signed off on the amendment, but voters will decide whether or not the amendment will pass.
Both major political parties will host gatherings on election night downtown. The Republicans will gather at their party headquarters on Main Street across from the Bistro on Main in downtown Lexington, while the Democrats will meet up at their party headquarters on Nelson Street, also in downtown Lexington.
Polls will open at 6 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. Voters will need to bring a picture ID with them. Acceptable IDs include a valid Virginia driver's license or identification card, DMV-issued Veterans ID card, a U.S. passport, or other government-issued photo ID cards. Also acceptable are college or university photo ID cards or an employee photo ID. The Rockbridge Report will be covering local and statewide elections all of Election Day, with newscasts at 7, 8, 9, and 10 p.m. We will also be putting results and updates on our website, as well as tweeting Election Day coverage.
The federal government decided on Wednesday to ramp up security at thousands of federal buildings. The policy was handed down in wake of the shooting last week in Ottawa, Canada. Homeland Secretary Jay Johnson said the enhanced security is a precautionary measure. CNN's Pamela Brown has more.
This morning, concerns about terror attacks on the homeland continue. The U.S. now beefing up federal security in more than 9,500 government buildings in Washington, D.C. and across the country. These photos taken late Tuesday reveal a much higher police presence near the White House. The Department of Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson says the new security measures are a precautionary step against terrorist organizations.
It's simply being safe rather than sorry.
This move comes in response to continued calls for attacks against government officials on U.S. soil from groups like ISIS.
There was a specific request made about a month ago by ISIS. They're looking now at lone wolves to attack instruments that represent Western governments, basically.
This as the al-Qaeda offshoot Khorasan poses an imminent threat, according to officials. Also raising fears, the most recent terror attacks right across the U.S. border.
Guys, there is a shooter on the loose.
Last Wednesday, a 32-year-old Muslim convert who officials say had connections with other extremists killed a Canadian soldier, then opened fire inside Canada's parliament. And 2 days before that, Canadian authorities say a radicalized Islamist struck and killed a Canadian soldier with his car. The federal facilities at risk see some 1.4 million visitors daily, officials not disclosing those locations.
The 32-year-old Canadian shooter was taken down inside the Canadian Parliament building. Officers shot him in a police standoff inside the Parliament building.
Washington and Lee University will have to wait another month before hearing Rockbridge County's decision on its plan for additional housing. The county supervisors voted on Monday to wait 30 days before reconsidering the university's proposal. Washington and Lee's plan includes housing for third-year students, parking, and an indoor swimming pool. The supervisors expressed concern over parking and traffic with the addition of more than 300 students living on the university's campus. The Board of Supervisors will revisit the issue in its November 24th meeting. Apple CEO Tim Cook announced in a Bloomberg Businessweek magazine article that he is proud to be gay. Cook's essay was released today, making him the highest-profile business CEO to come out. In the article, Cook said the decision to go public was not easy, but he felt he could help others by coming forward about his sexuality. Cook took over as Apple CEO in 2011.
You may have noticed that gas prices at stations around Rockbridge County are relatively low right now. In fact, gas prices are at their lowest in 4 years, according to AAA. CNN's Christine Romans explains what this means for the economy and why the prices for oil and gas has dropped in recent months.
Oil prices plummet, down 25% from the recent peak in June. Why? Demand is slowing in China, and the United States is producing a whole lot of oil. It's good news for your personal economy. First, gasoline prices. The national average down more than 30 cents in the past month, the lowest level since December 2010, according to AAA. Several states now have averages below $3 a gallon. That means every day, Americans are spending more than $100 million less on gas than they did this time last year. Expect to see even lower prices across the country in coming weeks. Second, heating your home. This winter forecast to be warmer than last year. Couple that with the drop in commodities like heating oil, and the Energy Department predicts nearly everyone will be getting a break on their heating bill, including about half the country that uses natural gas. The big drop in oil prices may save you cash on gas and heat, but don't expect to see cheaper flights. airlines know that prices could rebound at any moment, so they'll use cheap prices to lock in cheap fuel for the future and boost their profits. Those savings don't get passed on to you. But on balance, oil's plunge is a good thing. Consumers save on energy and put that money to work elsewhere, and that boosts the economy. Citigroup estimates that if Brent crude prices fall to $80 a barrel, it would add $660 billion to the global economy every year.
Let's hope those prices stay low for a little bit longer. Coming up next.
Rockbridge County law enforcement hosted the community this past weekend for a special night out celebration. We'll show you what took place in Glasgow. We'll give you the details for Halloween celebrations in Rockbridge County.
Plus, find out trick-or-treat hours for Rockbridge later in our broadcast. Stay with us.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary.
Hi, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Way. He doesn't even know that we're here. Is he okay? Please tell me he's okay.
Laura.
Okay, try to call him again.
There's no signal.
Try.
Nothing's working.
Well, just
Everything's down.
This is so bad. He's out there by himself.
Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov.
Welcome back. There's been a lot of news lately about drones being used in small communities.
That's right, and Rockbridge County recently brought up drones at a Board of Supervisors meeting. I spoke earlier today with reporter Rachel Adams-Hurd about the county considering a drone purchase and what exactly these drones do.
Yes, so a drone is formally called an unmanned aerial vehicle, or UAV, and it essentially works like a remote-controlled helicopter would. The operator controls it from the ground and it can fly up to hundreds of feet in the air.
Who were the parties that were interested in having a drone for Rockbridge County, and why were they interested in purchasing one?
It was originally thought that the sheriff's office would have control over a drone should it be purchased, but after a special committee met, they decided it would actually be better for the Department of Fire and EMS to have that power to train its personnel to use the drone.
And I understand that Rockbridge County has decided to wait a year before deciding to purchase a drone. Why did they decide to put it off and not go ahead and get one now?
It came from privacy concerns that were discussed when the committee met. They determined that any information recorded with the drone would be subject to search by anyone.
So where does the funding come from? If you want to buy a drone, who do you ask? Where do you get the funding from? How does that all work?
This drone would come from funding from the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. They have a matching grant where they would match county funding up to $7,500.
And the vote on drones was 4-1 to wait. Who was the person that voted that they wanted it now? And do you know why they voted that way?
Walkers Creek District Supervisor Buster Lewis was the one who wanted to go ahead and vote in the last meeting. He thought that it would be better for the county to have access to this service now rather than waiting again.
Thanks, Rachel. County Supervisor Buster Lewis said the board may reconsider a drone purchase around October of next year.
The weather this weekend could involve wintry mix to start off November. Our weather analyst, Kinsey Grant, has more. What's the scoop, Kinsey?
Well, Rockbridge County, as you can see, it's a beautiful day. We've had plenty of sunshine and we're finally experiencing those fall conditions we've been looking forward to. Let's take a look at our current conditions. Right now it's about 52 degrees and you'll see on the satellite that we did have some cloud coverage earlier, but it burned off into a beautiful sunny day. Let's take a look at, well, in our area, it's been about 52 degrees with a brisk breeze and some cool temperatures, but those temperatures have been nothing compared to the record low of 21 degrees that was set back in 1965. Most of our area, let's take a look at the rest of the area to see if they're experiencing similar conditions. Now we have had quite a wide range of temperatures today with 44 degrees over in Covington and about 59 degrees down in Lynchburg. Most of the area has been experiencing conditions partly cloudy or mostly sunny, but it's been a primarily beautiful day in the Rockbridge area. Let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. Now, tomorrow is Halloween, and if you're planning on trick-or-treating, I advise getting out there early. We are expecting some rain and clouds tomorrow afternoon and evening, and the high will not be any warmer than about 57 degrees. So if you're headed out there for trick-or-treating, be sure to bring an umbrella and a jacket. Saturday is not much better, unfortunately. We're looking at the possibility of a wintry mix with maybe some snow in the area before 9 a.m. Moving into Sunday, though, we will be back to that sunshine that we've gotten used to this week. And on Election Day Tuesday, we can expect perfect conditions to get out there and cast a ballot. Our high will be in the 60s and we'll have partly sunny skies. That's it for weather. Back to you.
Well, it sounds like at least voters will have good weather, even if the trick-or-treaters don't.
Yeah, parents, make sure you bundle up your ghouls and goblins this weekend. It's not often that kids get to don firefighters gear or meet Smokey the Bear, but they did in Glasgow on Sunday night. The occasion was the Rockbridge area's annual National Night Out. Police, fire, and emergency workers from several jurisdictions came together to host the event. The location moves each year. In 2015, it will be Lexington's turn. Organizers say those plans are already in the works.
Up next on the Rockbridge Report,
we'll have the highlights from the Giants World Series victory last night, plus the local sports rundown for the weekend.
And how the county is planning on spending their Halloween night. We'll be right back.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your GED.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future and sign up for free classes now at yourged.org.
If you store your guns properly, I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
9, safer
8,
when walking home. 7.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories.
And I won't have to tell my kids. This isn't a drill.
Please.
Please, do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always, lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
No more pencils, no more books, no more teachers, dirty looks.
School's out for summer.
What this place needed was better graduation rates. So we worked with schools like Henry Ford High, and now they're up 18%.
To help us do more good this year, go to unitedway.org because great things happen when we live united.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
The San Francisco Giants are World Series champions for the third time in 5 years. Giants ace Madison Bumgarner pitched 5 innings in relief to seal a 3-2 Game 7 victory for San Francisco over the Kansas City Royals last night. Bumgarner in the World Series amassed a 3-0 record while allowing 1 run over 21 innings pitched to earn himself Series MVP honors. Bumgarner also set records for most innings pitched in a postseason and lowest career earned run average in the World Series. San Francisco will hold a celebration parade for the Giants tomorrow. Plenty of local sports competition will take place in the county this weekend, plus it's a conference playoff time for soccer. Stuart Scott is here to give you your sports preview. Stuart?
Thanks, Maggie. The sports slate for this weekend is loaded with action. Let's start with high school football. Perry McClure's football team plays away at Bath County High School for their final regular season game Friday night at 7 p.m. If the Fighting Blues win Friday, it will be an undefeated season. Rockbridge County High School's football team is still fighting for their first win Friday against William Fleming High School. The Wildcats play at 7 p.m. at home. Washington and Lee football takes on Emory and Henry this Saturday. The game will be played on Wilson Field at 1 p.m. W&L will celebrate the 5-Star Festival at halftime and recognize the class of 1963. VMI football also plays at home Saturday. The Keydets play the Furman Paladins at 1:30. SVU football heads up north Saturday afternoon to play Rowan at 1 p.m. Both W&L soccer teams are in the ODAC quarterfinals on Saturday. The men play at Hampton-Sydney Saturday night at 7, and the women take on Randolph-Macon on Watt Field at 2 p.m. VMI men's soccer plays away at UNC Greensboro Saturday night at 7:30. VMI women's soccer fell to the Citadel in the first round of the Southern Athletic Conference tournament on Wednesday to end their season. The Cadets ended their season with an overall record of 3-15-1. Both SVU soccer team seasons ended this week. Men's soccer lost to Frostburg State on Wednesday, making their overall record 6-14. On Tuesday, the women also lost to Frostburg State and ended their season with a 6-10-3 overall record. The W&L volleyball team travels to Atlanta this weekend to compete at the Emory Invitational. The Generals will take on UMass Boston on Friday at 2 p.m., Barry on Saturday at 10:30 a.m., and then Emory at 1 p.m. SVU volleyball will travel to a tri-match hosted by Penn State Harrisburg on Saturday. The Knights play Penn State Harrisburg at noon, followed by Penn State Abington at 2 p.m. That's all for sports for this week. Stephen, back to you.
Thanks, Stuart, and best of luck to all the teams in Rockbridge County who are seeing action this weekend.
Tomorrow is Halloween. Reporter Sabrina Edgerton-Malloy shows us some of what's going on locally to celebrate the occasion.
Spooky decorations are going up all over town. Locals are stocking up on candy. Kids already have their Frozen and Iron Man costumes ready to go. And they're getting excited about their favorite part too.
Having costumes on? Hey, tell us how you say it.
For some, the celebrations began early. At Rockbridge County High School last weekend, students, faculty, and staff held a Halloween fair. More than 150 kids and their parents turned out for games, trick-or-treating, costume contests, and a haunted house.
I've heard that it's scary. It's because people are like all kinds of, it's kind of weird. It's because
okay, our results are almost in.
So I didn't want to go.
Students at the high school who volunteered to work the fair turned up as a Martian, Superman, and Batman. The younger kids got pretty creative too.
There was a deviled egg a couple people ago. One little girl was Audrey Hepburn, and we recognized her, and she said that we were the only people that knew that she was Audrey Hepburn.
Local merchants are also excited about this year's Halloween. But for them, it's less about business and more about the feel-good fun of trick-or-treating.
All the children from all over the county come into town, and every restaurant and a lot of the restaurants, all the retailers give out candy, and people dress up, and it's just fun.
Lexington police say there is safety in numbers. They advise kids to stay together and not go anywhere alone. They also recommend wearing good reflective material on costumes and to avoid wearing costumes that you can trip on. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Sabrina Edgerton-Malloy.
Waddell Elementary School will hold its usual Halloween parade and party tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Downtown Lexington will be overflowing with candy from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And downtown Buena Vista also has trick-or-treating from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
That's our broadcast for today. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us on the Rockbridge Report.
Be sure to check us out on the web at www.rockbridgereport.washingtonandlee.net. Also be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
Have a good rest of your day.